Welcome to the Tax Awareness Show. My name is Shiliboy Mutiba. I'm your host. And today I'm joined into the conversations with Khabu Matebula, who is a wealth specialist. Khabu, welcome. I just want to have a conversation with you. And today we're going to be talking about the retirement planning for entrepreneurs. Most people are actually familiar, especially the salaried people, are actually much familiar with thinking about their retirement. But my experience as an entrepreneur has taught me that we so buckled into the day-to-day. We work 24/7, right?
Yeah.
And we never really think about retirements. We never really think at what point we're going to exit our businesses. We just don't think about that. Why is it the case?
We're going to live forever. We're going to work forever. Health is wealth, but we all think we're going to be healthy forever. I mean, if I'm in my prime, right, I'm not going to be thinking, oh, what happens when I lose this? I'm more focused on growing and growing and growing and growing. And the thing about that is you hardly ever think about what could go wrong, when it could go wrong, and how ready you're going to be when that happens.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with entrepreneurs. And what I've seen also is that some entrepreneurs think that their very same businesses are the ones that are going to take care of them beyond retirement.
Yeah.
They're thinking, you know what, I've got those properties, I've built manufacturing businesses, and by the time I reach retirement age, be it 55, 65, it's actually going to take care of me. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the case, right?
I mean, it can't be making sometimes. Okay, you've got the first part that we used to do, where you made your child your retirement plan, and as an entrepreneur, your business is your baby.
Yes,
hey, like
correct.
It's your everything, and it also means you make it your plan. It's quite literally part and parcel of who you are, and you plan around it. And look, if you were running an amazing business, say 2015 to 2019, and then 2020 happened, and you suddenly had, I don't know, a manufacturing business or something that was just doing splendid, but you needed to be in a room with people. In 2020, that all went kaboot. Now imagine if you were 55 or 65. Well, people retire business at 75.
Yes. We work forever.
We work forever. You don't stop, because what do? Go to the beach? That sounds...
Not that is bad.
Yeah, I think the first day with your feet in the sand is great. The second day, you see the sunset, it's beautiful. Day 3, you sort of want to go back to telling people what to do.
Correct. But that's the thing. But with that said, you mentioned that, you highlighted the COVID period.
Yeah, terrible time, by the way.
Exactly. Thank God we passed that. You mentioned that and that during that time, some businesses actually lost value. And that's a risk that actually an entrepreneur who thinks that they're planning their retirement around the value of their business, they're going to exit. And then upon that, meaning that if someone had planned to retire during COVID at that age and say, listen, in 2019, 2020, I'm going to retire and my value of my business is so much, and then I'm going to exit. And the market actually don't allow that person to actually retire. People are not buying, people are more conservative because
your business is not running, it's shut down.
Exactly. And people are uncertain with that. I think that's the lesson that we learned as entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs have learned, that you can actually not just completely rely on your business as a retirement. But what would you tell that person who's still stubborn and thinking that their business is their sole retirement? How should the entrepreneurs, be it small, medium enterprises, should be approaching these things of retirement together, by the way, with their employees? Which reminds me something that it's, in my experience, SMMEs don't even think about structuring employees' benefits within their organizations. How do you actually have a conversation with such an entrepreneur?
Geez. I feel like you just asked me 5 questions in one. It's like 5 things but listen, let's try, okay? And perfect that it's at the SMME level, because that's where the shortage is. So you've got a business that's trying to grow, you're trying to build, and you have to pay salaries, you have to pay bills, you have to pay lights, So there's so much that you need to do. And sometimes you find that you work in the employee benefit space, for example, where in order to run a certain fund, you need a certain number of members, for example. So your options become a little limited, but sometimes you just never get around to it. So maybe the bigger part of the conversation is looking at exploring how employees can build like single standing options, because you can't wait until you grow to a conglomerate and say, let's look at what we all know, provident and pension, now only provident funds for employees. You have to look at what you can do right now. And I think, I hate talking product, but how things like retirement annuities, where you can factor them into a compensation plan for an employee, for example. And I think more more about the tax of it. I mean, I'm
the
more
benefits that comes with it. Yes,
lots of benefits. It is a cost for a business, but the longer term, the bigger picture of it is beneficial, because again, the conversation is about retirement. And in order for you to have a business, yes, you as an employer have to plan around your retirement, but you can't leave your people behind, man.
Correct.
You really can't. You have to plan around them, because those are people that are supporting families, and they need to also plan, because if they're 55 and they're ready to leave, they can't retire on zero. You need to have a structure.
With that said, it sounded so that you mentioned something about needing some number of employees, and in order for you to but for someone who's SMMEs, I mean, in a layman, how should they be going about approaching these, of setting up these type of employees?
Shelly, my thing is always get options. So we in this space where there's this phenomenon where everybody wants like a one-man answer to say, if I fit this criteria, this is where I'm going. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So you need to actually sit with somebody. Like, you need to sit with a professional that is licensed and has the knowledge, and sit and say, okay, this is how I'm structured. This is how my business is structured. And from there, then look at, how many employees do you have? How much are you paying them each? How much can you afford to pay for them on a month to month towards their retirement? Then you can look at an easy route. You can look at the direct umbrella fund route. So there's a couple of options, but it'll never be a one size fits all, because you actually need to look at what the business is, how large it is, and how much money you can pull into there. And then from there, you can then select what type of retirement funding you're gonna structure for your members, or even just having like straightforward retirement plans for your people. But something like that can't be decided like in a 5-minute conversation. You actually need to look, because someone needs to be intimate with your business and say, this is going to be the best for you, not just now, but in the longer term.
But maybe it sounds like it needs a detailed conversation.
No, it does.
As an entrepreneur with someone who in the know. But how do I prepare myself to have that conversation as an entrepreneur? I need to prepare myself before.
How?
I need to know about my business. Maybe I need, like what you said, there are certain things such as how much I'm paying my employees. But those are some of the things.
There's a couple of factors.
Yeah, but like I said, how do I prepare myself as an entrepreneur?
Your person will prepare you. Like, if you have a proper intermediary or an advisor or whoever you use, if they're proper and they know their stuff, they will prepare you. It's not your job to prepare yourself. It's your job to partner with somebody and have somebody that actually has the skill set. Like, as an entrepreneur, I'm jack of all trades, master of none. But, I think the saying actually extends to a master of all is better than the master of one. Yeah. So, but nonetheless, you don't have to be perfect at everything. Sometimes you have to outsource because that's something somebody else is good at. That's not what you do. You, as an entrepreneur, you get somebody else who can sit and look at it intimately and say, this is where I would advise you to go. So, yeah.
You know, entrepreneurs always say, but what's in for me?
The money.
But then the issue is, how have you seen an SMME that have structured their environment such that there are such as employee benefits for their employees? How did you see such environment actually having an impact in the growth of that particular business? Is there any form of correlation with
This is my favorite part of the conversation. Financial health.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the thing is, if you know, as an employee, like stepping away from business owners, entrepreneurs, as a standalone employee, if you know that your stuff is sorted, because those people that come into the business don't just now look at the owner. You've got stuff like retirement benefit counseling. Now, where you enter those chats, they get to look at each individual, but they also benefit from it because now you've got somebody that's taking care of your financial health and building your financial confidence. And that's such a big thing. You even better at work. You're steady. You're not going around looking for the next gig that's perhaps going to have employee benefits or a provident fund or whatever it is. Because as an SMME, you're trying to build, you're trying to keep your people. You don't want in, out. So it's like a win-win because if your people are happy and they're structured and they know that their financial health is intact, or at least like making good progress, they're going to stick around, you know? So the bigger picture of it all is just going back to financial confidence, because everybody's financial health is as important as the next person within each company. So, yeah.
Just to summarize what you said, it sounds like you would have boosted the morale of the employees.
No, absolutely.
And with that said, you're reducing the high turnover of your employees. And that, to me, coming from a tax environment and accountant environment, is that it preserves the value of your business, because by retentions of your key personnel, then as a result, it actually preserves the value, because the technical side of things, the guys that get to be retained, they're able to grow your business. And as a result, as an entrepreneur, you are able to generate and create wealth, the very same wealth that, in fact, that is actually planning for your retirement. Because if you think about it, because earlier on we spoke about how do you preserve the value of your business. So by looking after your employees, you're actually preserving the value of your business.
You look after them, they look after you.
Exactly. And that in future, then you've got money to exit your business. You can dispose your business. I mean, speaking of exiting, I mean, you remind me as a tax advisor, and I just need to bring these in passing when I'm passing. One of the things that people don't think about is the tax reliefs that exist in when you reach the age of 55.
Retirement age.
Yeah, the retirement age. I mean, entrepreneurs needs to be mindful of such that there are actually things like capital gain reliefs that when you dispose your business having reached age of 55, you can actually disregard about 1.8 million at the current tax tax provisions. So that's a lot of
Business now
money.
until next month.
No. But I mean, until it is
Revised,
amended. Yes, exactly. But as it is, if you dispose your let's say for argument's sake, your business worth 10 million and you dispose it for say let's say you build it and your capital gain is about say 2 million, then you can disregard 1.8 and then you can be taxed on 200,000. So to me, that's quite a huge relief because particularly that most SMMEs that we know in the country are not really that large in terms of asset portfolio and things like that. But it's quite beneficial because if you are saving on tax at 1.8, that's a lot of money to be thinking about for your retirement at your retirement space. But with that said, during that part where you are you are planning those employee benefits, of course, it's going to increase your remuneration. And most entrepreneurs may not be happy about that, because then it becomes part of your remuneration. Then you need to pay as you earn, which is employees tax.
There'll
that needs
always
to be
be
paid.
tax.
Exactly. But then other benefits is that is an expense that can be reducing your taxable income as an entrepreneur, therefore paying less tax. So there's sort of benefits in either way, but equally so, those who contributed for those employees' benefits, be it retirement, be it provident fund, there are tax benefits on that. I mean, they can take they'll have deductions for those contributions. And then any excess we know that can be carried forward for the following year then get to be deducted, which is, I mean, it's something that is amazing, where government is actually encouraging people to actually look after themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like delve too much into it, because that is a slippery slope.
No, that's my space.
That's a one-on-one conversation that people have with their clients.
Yes.
But I would look at a couple of things. You've got Section 11F, you've got Section 10C.
Yes.
You can even go as far as looking at, if you go out of the retirement conversation, look at Section 10A. There are a lot of exemptions that can and could be used, but it's also about knowing when it fits, you know?
Awareness.
Because,
hence we're at the tax awareness.
Yeah, because you have to make sure it's suitable. Like, I would never be in a space where I'm looking at saying, okay, maximize on this exemption, when I know that a person does not, say, have money that's not tied up. You know, if money is not discretionary, for example, because when you're building all these solutions, and like you said, tax awareness, understanding the tax awareness element of it also means understanding how each decision that you make will actually impact your overall liquidity as a person, because you also don't want to be like fully tied up to a point where you've got, if something happens tomorrow, you've just got nothing. So it's more about getting the tax benefits of various elements or various products that are more suitable or can be used in conjunction for clients that, well, your clients. I don't deal with clients. But yeah, there's a lot of options that you can explore. You can even step into the tax-free space. I think everyone talks, and I know this is a retirement thing, but everyone talks about retirement, but I'm a fan of planning for retirement while planning for tomorrow.
Of course.
So if I'm going to be talking around, okay, let's plan around 55, 60, 65, I would also then enter a conversation of how to create tax efficiency for now. There's multiple structures that you can explore, and you're familiar with it. Like you can look at tax-free elements, after-tax elements like sinking funds and endowments. So there's a couple of options that you can explore, but then again, it goes back to understanding the tax of something and how it then helps you know what is and is not suitable, and then how you can use all those things in conjunction with each other. So there's like this beautiful concert where these little pieces are just making music together.
I think what I'm hearing, and which is correct, what you are saying is that as much as you're an entrepreneur, you're planning your retirement, equally so you're thinking about the well-being of your employees. In that process of planning for that, you also need to consider the now, like how do you live, the tomorrow. You know, you need to balance your portfolio in such a way that it's considering the short term, the medium term, the long term. With that said, we'll take into account those sort of consideration. What is the role of diversification in planning for your retirement? And diversification in a sense of various form of funds and asset portfolios that one may want to consider. What's your thinking around that? How often do you see people actually really thinking about the concept of diversification?
I mean, I believe in planning for now as much as you plan for tomorrow, and 10 and 5 and 15 and 20 years from now. So if you diversified, half the time you have a couple of products, you have a product suite, because when you diversified means you tick a couple of boxes. So you're going to be looking at different things like, am I building liquidity for now? and tomorrow and 10 years from now. You've got to tick that. You've got to look at, am I protecting my assets now,
Asset
tomorrow?
protection.
Especially for business owners, but also for just like natural persons, normal people. Like we don't realize how much we can actually just like wrap and protect our assets as much as reasonably possible while still being tax efficient.
Exactly.
So yeah, you need to just make sure you've got the liquidity, you've got the protection, and dare I say, make sure you invest it in the right things. I mean, I won't speak as far as saying what funds you should buy. I'll never do that.
Yes, correct.
But you need to then have somebody that is knowledgeable enough to then say, this is the type of market you should be in. Because you can have a plethora of options in terms of products. But if you don't have the asset allocations right, also that presents a bit of a risk. So you need to also, speaking of risk, understand risk and return.
Yes, correct.
So there's a couple of elements, and that's why I'm always just like, it's such an intimate conversation that somebody needs to have with you so that they can plan around and build around your solution set, your situation, and then at the end of the day, it'll just help grow over time.
From what I'm hearing is that when you think of retirement, it's actually customized. The solutions that you're going to think about for you as an entrepreneur, for you that is building that business, your retirement planning solution is actually going to be more unique and customized to suit you. And with that said, what I'm hearing, I mean, you brought in the concept of asset protection. We speak a lot about asset preservations, asset protections. How would you simplify? I mean, maybe let's unpack this concept of asset protection in the context of retirement. How do you link that? Because most of the time, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that, when people think of asset protection, they say, yo, I'm an entrepreneur. If I divorce, I don't want to lose my things.
Gosh.
Or should I be sued? I don't want to lose things. That is typically how people think about asset protections. You know, they're thinking about divorce, they're thinking about being sued, you know, in the main, they're thinking about the young ones. Should they pass on? They want the young ones to be protected. But in the context of retirement, how do you bring that into the context of retirement?
Sure. How do you protect retirement assets?
No. What I meant is that you earlier on you mentioned about asset protections in relation to retirement, to say yes. What I'm saying is that in planning your retirement, the principle of asset protection, how does it fit in? That's basically what
You're answering yourself though. I mean, you know retirement products, some of them have they enjoy certain protections, you know? So it's quite literally just that. Like if you're planning around it, your business, you've got certain legislations and certain ways you can structure where you place your money so that it is protected after certain periods of time being in certain structures. That's one thing. But also if you're planning around retirement products, there's also protections within the boundaries of legislation, of course, because you don't try to con the government. They know everything. So you can have certain protections on that money that you put in there. So that's the long and short of it, quite essentially. You enjoy protections that you wouldn't have otherwise.
No, I mean, that's exactly that. I mean, what you're emphasizing is that be able to observe within those type of solutions that you are coming up with, how are they preserving the value of your money? Because from what I'm hearing is that the solutions should be such that they preserve your wealth in that. And I mean, trust me, people, I mean, the reason why you and I as experts in the field, it might come easy, but that's why people enter into Ponzi schemes, because they forget to think about the protection side of it. They forget to think about the preservation of their capitals and the value of their businesses, or the value of the money that they're putting aside for their future, because they thinking of returns alone. They don't think of the risks element of things, and it happens a lot.
Yeah.
So with that is just to say, listen, when you're coming up with these solutions for your retirement, please think about how do you preserve the very same capital
100%.
that you're putting aside, and make sure that it's well structured. It takes into account the profile, the risk appetite, your age consideration as an entrepreneur. You know, are you 50? Are you 40? Are you 20? Are you 65? You know, the balancing of your solutions needs to take into account such kind of dynamics.
Yeah.
And equally, so your employees should be advised in that context so that they don't find themselves they don't find themselves
compromised
exactly, and their retirement. But I mean, in closing or in parting short, what would you tell the entrepreneurs about the importance of the retirement in closing? The giveaway, that golden nugget.
Oh, I can't even drop this mic. So why are we doing this? I would say plan for today, plan for tomorrow, plan for 10 and 15 and 25 years from now, but also plan for your people. You need to plan for your people. You need to plan for your company as an entity or whatever structure you run. And just make sure that protect what you can, grow what you can, build what you can. But in the longer term, if you are in the business of taking advice and implementing it where it's suitable, it may just be the best thing you've done for yourself. So plan around everything. Literally plan for you, plan for your people, plan for everything around you. And like you said, if you build your financial confidence and the confidence of those around you, the bigger picture just looks better, because in the longer term, and you would know this, it's mutually beneficial to plan around your retirement and that of your enterprise and that of your clients. And I think this is the perfect time to do it. I mean, it's the 2025 tax year. Conversations can be had, not just planning for until end of Feb, but for the next year and the year after that, because sometimes it's just about starting. You have to start and you have to just have at it, start building and grow from there.
I'm going to have to apologize because I said you're cutting short. But when you're speaking, you actually made me remember something when you said this is the perfect timing. There's always this rush between January and February where people are actually saying what? Plan retirement. Why is it that rush? What is the thinking around that?
I don't think it's a rush. I think it's less a rush and more awareness. Because in finance, there's tax season. There's financial year end for certain entities. There's Wills Week. I think this is in October, November, September.
Correct.
Yeah, you've got certain times that have sort of been penned as perhaps the most appropriate time. But now, because it's February and it's tax year is ending, you want to get certain... If you look at now certain deductions that you can get, if you want them to fall within a tax year, you have to do it by a certain deadline. So there is that sense of urgency to say, let's get it in now and then start the new tax year with a new zero, basically. Your baseline zero, you get your exemptions, you get your deductions, whatever it is you're doing in that tax year. So it's less a rush, but it's more about making it within the year. So I'd say it's awareness and a touch of a sense of urgency.
It's positioned enough for awareness during this period. It's easy to speak to the conversation, to the entrepreneur, to say, listen,
100%.
January and February is approaching the end of tax season. If you want to take advantage of certain tax benefits, you want to do things right now and get your house in order.
100%.
Come up with a solution, implement your solution so that those tax benefits can be taken on before the end of the tax season.
But I think it shouldn't be January, February. It's a long-term thing. It shouldn't be January, you take care of it and then it's just quiet throughout the year. I think it should be something that is ongoing.
Agreed.
So that each month you are planning and you are implementing, because if you rush, then you might end up getting into the wrong thing, because it's you've got 2 weeks. Like you said, some people feel rushed. So then when that happens, you do things, natuurlik. What is the word? you do it very fast. So there is then that potential to sort of lose out on certain nuggets that you should have gotten if you sort of engaged in the longer term conversation. And especially
self-paced.
and especially in the SMME or the enterprising space, because if you're going to plan for your employees, it's not going to happen in 2 weeks. It's a long-term conversation. You need to have it more over a span of a couple of months so that you can actually plan, make sure you're happy with it, and then execute.
I like that.
You cannot execute in 2 weeks. It's just not going to work out.
I agree.
So you need to have a longer term conversation. And perhaps that's what we're going to do in the 2026 tax year going forward, because then we're in a better space. We know more. We know better now. Then we can get into, okay, how do we keep an open line of communication? How do we make sure that we plan and monitor our progress and know that going forward, we're good. So yeah, that's really it.
I guess how we said, it's not an issue of rush, it's an issue of awareness. As the tax season is approaching, you're going to hear a lot about people saying, please do this, do that. But
maximize.
Yes, but as you mentioned, it's a matter of taking your time, self-paced, bring along your employees as an entrepreneur, as a SME owner, but equally so making sure that those solutions that you're going to implement around the employees' benefits actually speaks to you, speaks to the profiles of your employees, and then as a result, you, for a very fact, we know that it's going to benefit the morale of the employees, is going to effectively show on the productivity of those employees. And as a result, that's how you're going to preserve the value of your business as an entrepreneur. My name is Shiliboy Mutiba. I'm your host of the Tax Awareness Show. That's it for today. We appreciate for watching until this end. Thank you. Good day.